And welcome back to Hannity and our continuing coverage of the situation in Ferguson, Missouri. Despite the large amount of evidence presented to the grand jury that backed up Officer Wilson's version of events, well, Michael Brown's family remains convinced that he was shot because Officer Wilson wanted to kill on that fateful day. Listen to this.
He didn't do what he had to do. He did what he wanted to do.
Okay. What he wanted to do?
Yes.
In other words, you think he wanted to kill your son?
I don't think he wanted to kill my son, but he wanted to kill someone.
And then in his statement, he said he'll do it again. So
his conscience is clear.
His conscience
How could your conscience be clear after killing somebody, even if it was an accidental death?
And to allow the body to lie there for 4 hours.
We couldn't even have my son organs donated. You understand that? They wrong. They know they wrong.
Joining me now is Brown family attorney Daryl Parks is back with us. Daryl, I understand a grieving family, and I take no issue. They can say what they want. But we're a nation of laws, and the law worked here. The system worked here. Evidence was presented to a grand jury. They didn't even have to bring this case to a grand jury. Can you back up what Michael Brown's mother said there in any way, shape, matter, or form? Do you have any evidence that points to the fact that Officer Darren Wilson wanted to kill somebody, as she said, that day? Do you have any evidence to back that up?
Well, I think what she was saying was he didn't have to kill her son. He had other options available to him.
That's not what she said. She said he wanted to kill somebody that day.
Well, Sean, also you see in the clip that you just showed that she is overcome with grief. I mean, you feel it.
Okay, I can accept that. That's fair.
Yes.
So you're not agreeing with the statement, and I give you credit because there is no evidence, which is where I was going next. We had you on the program last night. We got a lot of reaction to you being on the program, and I spent all day yesterday reading the evidence that was presented to the grand jury, and I spent a lot of time focused on the testimony of the eyewitnesses in this case, most of whom were black residents of Ferguson, considering this has been there's been a racial narrative surrounding the case. They all said the same thing. They corroborated the story, the struggle for the gun. First, we go back to the store. We have the videotape, the robbery, the intimidation of a clerk, the struggle for the gun, charging at Officer Wilson like a football player, full on, with his head down. I understand that you can have different points of view, but witness after witness corroborated his story and pointed out that Michael Brown was the aggressor. Why can't the family look at that evidence? Do they think every eyewitness there is lying?
Well, Sean, let me say, I don't want to be real graphic about what I'm about to tell you, right? Except for I happen to be at the autopsy that we conducted, okay? And so I know the true path of the bullet that went into Michael's head. And it's at the apex of his head right here.
Because he kept
comes
charging.
Out by his eye.
I understand the gruesomeness of it. Okay. There's no such thing as somebody being killed with gunfire that it's going to be a pretty sight. But if you listen to eyewitness number 10, what did he say? That Officer Wilson would stop shooting and that Michael Brown kept charging. He'd stop and he kept charging. So I go back to my question to you yesterday. What kind of person robs a store, intimidates a clerk, tries to steal a cop's gun, charges like a football player with his head down and won't stop? Why did he act that way?
Listen, but obviously, going back to what I was just telling you, the officer had to shoot his gun down like this to shoot him in the head. Given the fact that his head is down, this officer had a chance not to use deadly force, given the fact of the position of his head. That's what the true evidence in this case shows, Sean.
It doesn't show that, and nor did the grand jury see it that way. All right, let me ask one more important question.
I saw the bullet pad, Sean. I saw the bullet pad, so you can't tell me.
I saw the autopsy report too. I interviewed Dr. Bodden many times about the autopsy in this case. So here's my final question.
You don't understand me. I saw it. I didn't see the report.
Okay, Eric Holder has said that he's going to continue to pursue civil rights charges. Now, the legal standard for a grand jury is probable cause. If he was indicted, it would be beyond a reasonable doubt. To get a civil rights charge, you have to prove that Darren Wilson intentionally wanted to violate the civil rights of Michael Brown. Based on all of the eyewitness testimony, you can't possibly get there. So don't you think that this is a waste of the nation's time, and it's more of an instance where we're creating false hope for people that want to agitate and have agendas here?
Well, two things. First of all, I think if you look at the Attorney General Holder's statement, he acknowledged it's a heightened standard as it relates to the federal standard of proving a civil rights case. However, what we have here, though, Governor Jay Nix still has an opportunity to appoint another special prosecutor for another grand jury. But the reason being, double jeopardy does not attach to what happened earlier this week.
The evidence is incontrovertible. The eyewitnesses are consistent. You will never get a guilty verdict in a court of law. It's impossible. The evidence is so overwhelming.
Well, it depends on the jury. It always depends upon the jury.
I got to go. Good to see you, Daryl. Appreciate it. Coming up, why did the New York Times